Hey guys, welcome back to yet another electrical video. Today I'll be replacing this outlet on the side of my house. This is yet another one of those in-use covers, but as you can see, it's kind of old and yellow. And the more important issue is that this outlet is a 20 amp outlet. It works, but this is on a 15 amp circuit, so it's very obviously against code to have a 20 amp receptacle on a 15 amp circuit. Also, this is not a weather rated receptacle. Obviously, when it was installed, that wasn't code, but today I'm going to be installing a new in-use cover and a new receptacle to meet code. Before you do any electrical work, turn off the breaker. As you can see, this is on a 15 amp garage breaker, which is bad. I'm just going to quickly verify that the power is actually off, which it is. So at this point, we can go ahead and start removing it. I'm going to take off this part of the in-use cover if I can. Yeah, there it is. And then I'm going to remove the cover. Yeah, so obviously this outlet was not from here. I think this is actually from the master bathroom, which is why it has that paint on it, but nevertheless, it shouldn't be here. That is a very stripped thread. At this point, I'm removing the old receptacle with my impact driver. Here I switched to an ECX screwdriver just because the impact driver was kind of stripping out the terminals on it. I'm removing the old box and replacing it just because this box has been full of water and I can clearly see that there's plenty of corrosion on it. Also, this box was only held in with 1/2-inch screws and they were pretty rusty too. So basically that's just enough to bite into the siding and that's really not very strong at all. So it's a good thing I ripped it out. So I'm going to be installing a Taymac cover, a new box, and then a weather resistant GFCI, which is required by code. As you can see, I'm also assembling these little ears that go onto the sides of the box. So additionally, along with screwing into the actual box, I'm going to be screwing into these ears. So there's going to be 4 screws going into the house. And then also I'm going to put this clamp on the back. It's also important to silicone the plugs that are supplied. So when you go ahead and put these plugs in, I just applied silicone around them, kind of like pipe dope, and then tighten them up. So that way this gives you a nice rain-proof connection. At this point, I'm just kind of siliconing that little hole in the wall. It's actually not a little hole, it's a pretty massive hole. I think this is because water's been getting back there and kind of rotting the wood, but nevertheless, I filled it up. And then here you can see I'm tightening the clamp on the box. Along with the silicone in the hole, I also siliconed all the way around the hole, so that way when I press that box in, that entire hole where the wires come out is sealed fully. Then I sent 2-inch screws into the siding. Hopefully this goes into the OSB that's behind it, which it did, which is good. So this enough is pretty strong, but then additionally I also sent in 2 more screws on either side of the box into those ears. And as you can see, this box is extremely strong. I could probably stand on it and it wouldn't go anywhere, but obviously no one's using this as a step ladder. So at this point, along with the silicone in the hole and the silicone around the hole, I'm also siliconing around the box. Maybe that's a little overkill, but I really don't want water getting in here and causing issues. So I went all the way around the box, and then obviously I kind of just smudged it around to make it look somewhat decent. And as you can see at this point now, I'm grounding the box because this is a metal box. It does have to be grounded. So I'm just wrapping that ground wire around that screw and then screwing it back in to make a nice secure grounding pigtail. Well, not pigtail, but ground connection. At this point, I am stripping the wire back a little bit more and then making hooks. I am aware that because this is a GFCI, you can technically back wire it. I think that's an acceptable practice. It is better than backstabbing, which is a different method. However, I do prefer hooks, especially for certain receptacles where you actually can't really see the actual clamping mechanism. I do prefer making traditional shepherd's hooks just so that way I can see the secure connection being made. So I'm just doing the same thing for the hot and the neutral, and then of course the ground wire. That screwdriver I'm using is an ECX screwdriver. It's actually a Milwaukee 11-in-1, but I basically just bought it for the ECX tip, but it's supposed to get a better grip on receptacle screws. Also, because this is a outdoor unit and a metal box, I'm deciding to wrap it in electrical tape. It's generally good practice in general for metal boxes, and then you just mash the wires back into the box and then screw it into the box. It's really not too difficult. At this point, I'm loosening the screws a little bit so I can slide that Taymac cover on. It basically just slides on with those keyhole slots, as you can see. And then also you just tighten it down. I never really like to tighten things down like this with a power tool, just because a lot of times it will just snap the plastic, so I like to finish off with a hand screwdriver. And then additionally, along with these two mounting screws, you can also screw these other two screws in. These screw into where the faceplate would normally screw onto, and the installation is done. All right, the new receptacle and its new Taymac cover is installed. You can see it's siliconed around the entire box. The power is back on, so let's go ahead and reset this. So this is a self-testing GFCI. So basically what that means is that every 15 minutes, this will check its ground fault protection. And if it fails, then that green LED will become red to let you know that something's wrong. So now the most important part is to test it to make sure it's wired properly. So I'm going to plug in my tester. You can see it reads proper. And then when we hit the GFCI button, it trips. That's pretty cool. All right, thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully this was somewhat helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.